Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of Drawing with Mr. Sepulveda. In today's episode, we're going to be drawing female hair. This is my approach to drawing hair, so please follow along with me as we start drawing. Our first step is to draw the head. I simply do this by first starting off with a circle. Then I kind of give myself a curved vertical and horizontal line. These are my guidelines to help me figure out where the cheek is, right? Where the chin ought to be, and about where the jaw kind of comes up to the head, where it would connect with the ear. Okay, so I'm gonna start kind of figuring out like a neck to shoulders for this character as I lay her out. Right, so I'm starting off by kind of figuring out a mannequin before I get to the hair phase of this drawing. Okay, I'm gonna throw in an ear just in case the ear is visible, but in case you use a lot of like layering of hair or hair that overlaps the ear, then the ear will be non-existent in your picture. But this is just kind of a rough sketch of what I would start off with before I begin to draw my character's hair. Okay, I've got 6 here because I'm going to do about 6 drawings with you guys. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do, right, after we've gone and drawn the head, is to kind of figure out, and you'll see this, right, I'm kind of making a large line around the head, and it's because I'm trying to figure out where the hairline is for my character, right? So that's my second step. Sometimes I omit it, sometimes I just don't put it in there, and I do try to keep a nice big round top where the hair is going to be on. Okay, it's because hair has volume and it should kind of have a little bit of bounce to it, right? My third step, and you guys can see me doing it right here, is trying to determine an outline for my character's hair. So this is all rough, okay? Nothing here is going to be fine. Nothing here is going to be perfect. I'm just trying to figure out which areas are going to have hair, where some hair may or may not be spiky, where it may not overlap. This is kind of where you can have fun in figuring out what the silhouette of your character's hair is going to look like. So I just try to take big areas as much as I can, and this is my approach. It might or might not work for you, okay? But this is kind of how I've done it in the past, or how I still do it, okay? Once you guys figure out where your hair is going to be, right, we get to our next step, which is we're going to use these rough outlines to kind of help us sculpt our character's hair, right? So this could be small details, nothing major, where we can kind of have strands of hair flowing. I kind of like spiky hair, so that's kind of what I'm doing over here for this female character's hair set. So I'm just trying to figure out what the outline is, and these wouldn't be like my clean lines by any means. Sometimes when I get to that process of drawing, I do change things up, and that's okay. So you don't have to be satisfied with what you first come up with by any means. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out that space. You can see how I'm using that oval shape to kind of figure out how I want the hair to fall. One thing that I did not do, and I noticed this after going through this process, was I didn't draw like lines that kind of show where the hair is coming from, because naturally your hair is originating from one point and your hair all kind of goes back to those same points. So I didn't do that in the video, but you guys can kind of see that I'm more or less curving the hair back into the head, and it would all point to one particular spot where all the strands are coming from. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out what this shape is going to look like. I'm just messing around over here, and I'll just kind of continue to undo or erase until I kind of like what the shape looks like. In my head, I'm kind of thinking maybe that hair is kind of tucked behind her ear. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm just kind of messing around with some ideas. Wasn't sure if I should come really low with that hair, kind of coming on the outside of her head, because if you notice, I haven't done her head yet. Like, I haven't outlined the head yet. I'm just doing the hair piece just to kind of see how it would fit. So the way that I think about it is, I've got a mannequin or a head, or a mannequin's head, and I'm just kind of putting a wig on it, and I'm trying to figure out what the wig's going to look like. I'm going to erase parts. I'm going to re-edit parts. Until I find something that I like. So whenever I do this, it's more or less exploration, right? I'm just trying to explore and figure out what fits well, what fits best with the character that I'm trying to convey, with the character that I'm trying to present. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out the hair that's falling behind her head, behind her back, behind her neck. Here I am just kind of outlining what the head looks like. Neck is. We'll do where the shoulders fall. And it doesn't have to be too perfect. I know I don't always follow my own advice with that, but this is just all rough. This is not what our final character might look like, right? We're just giving ourselves an idea for what the hair is going to look like for this character, right? I was thinking more of a round top, right? And you guys can kind of see that volume piece, right? It's above that circle, that second circle that I made, right? So it has nothing to do with that first red circle that I did. Right, so I'm trying to figure out what the hair is going to look like, how it's going to fall over here behind her head, right? Because gravity, right, it should be kind of coming downward, right? It shouldn't be like floating wherever it wants to float. Right there, I'm just trying to mess around with that hair that I thought was tucked behind the ear, but it might actually just be over the ear, and it's just kind of hanging off to the side. Right, so I'm just kind of messing around with shapes on the interior of the hair as well as the exterior. Not putting too much time into certain areas also helps. I noticed that I liked the way that it looked on the right side, but not so much on the left, and so I'm just kind of figuring out maybe the hair folds, and so I kind of cover up this overlap over here. So that will be kind of the front part of the hair, and then everything behind it would be the back end of the head, or the back end of the hair. And then if you want, you could always add small details. That's entirely up to you. I might be doing this to kind of show where the shine might be in a rough sketch. Okay, and this is where things will speed up, where I time lapse everything. This is my second head. Notice how I skipped the hairline step, but I do have an idea of where my hair is going to be laid out, right? Where the rough sketch of my hair is going to be laid out for this particular hair. Okay, and if you want, pause it at any time if you want to copy through the steps that I'm doing for this character, right? Just trying to figure out something crazy, something loose. I was thinking about adding accessories to my character. So here's a bow. I'm adding a few strands of hair just to kind of show direction, try to show some movement, right? I decided to kind of break up the hair by putting like a little bit of a cowlick, if you will, on that end, on the top of her head. I was trying to figure out how to fill in the space below for a second. And you'll kind of see, like, maybe I'll just break it apart like this. Maybe it's wavy, maybe it's curly, and then I'll have some strands kind of flowing outward, some strands flowing out to the side, overlapping hair, right? You could do a whole lot with hair, right? And the whole journey is to kind of figure out, like, what's my character going to look like? Is the hair going to be unique? Is my character going to stand out? Okay. Here we are going to our third character, and here we are trying to figure out what the hair might look like. Here I kind of go with a simple ponytail, but I still kind of outline or rough sketch the hairline, a rough sketch where the hair is going to be, and then I start trying to carve out the shape of her hair, right? So I'm just kind of using the blue lines as guidelines, and then I'm using my pencil to kind of darken up areas that I want to see the shapes for this particular headset, right? You'll notice I didn't want it to completely overlap, and so I kind of cut it short so that when I start drawing my character's eyes, the hair won't get in the way of my character's eyes. Okay. Trying to figure out what the back part of her hair looks like, putting some lines to show direction. There's her ponytail. Going to give her a large ponytail. I'm going to put in some strands for her ponytail here. Just kind of giving a thick outline, just trying to figure out if that's what I really want or not. Okay. Moving on to picture number 4, you guys can kind of see here, just kind of coming up with an idea for, it might be a lower hairline, right? I might want some hair to up. Here's where I decide, like, that's where I'm actually going to have the spikes. And so I kind of give her some bangs, in a sense, here. Carving out some shapes that'll go above her head here. And you'll see me make a few adjustments as I go through this particular character, right? Putting in some strands so I know the direction. Trying to figure out how much volume her hair has, and you'll see, like, to me that's a little bit too flat, and so I notice it later and then I start making those adjustments. I'm trying to keep it somewhat symmetrical, right, on that side, and there I am just kind of breaking it apart by putting that indent on the top. I think it kind of gives her a pretty interesting kind of feel, right? So here I am just kind of giving her somewhat like pigtails off to the side. I wasn't too sure about it, but I kind of ultimately liked what I did with her. Here I start thinking about a bow on both sides, or an accessories. I think I end up with a band right there for her, and then some extra hair kind of flowing in the back because maybe she doesn't contain all of her hair. Here on this 5th picture, there's my hairline for this character. Kind of figuring out some shapes for how her hair is going to go. I was thinking like sharp, maybe wavy, long hair that flows down was kind of what I was thinking of. I was thinking about some crazy shapes coming up, some crazy shapes in the hair, some angles. Sometimes I like angles more than I like just smooth, circular, round shapes. And you'll kind of see me playing around with that. I'm kind of doing a mix of all of that and just kind of seeing what works best for this character, what doesn't work best for this character. And so I'm just trying to outline my character's head. I'm trying to figure out what's working, what's not working. And then you always have the power of the eraser, guys. You can always just keep erasing, or if you're doing it digitally, undo things that don't seem to work out for you or your particular character design. Only do what feels right. Okay? And so I'm just kind of messing around with her for a little bit because I'm not quite getting what I thought I wanted the first time around, and so I'm just kind of messing around with some shapes on the inside, some shapes on the outside, trying to give her volume in certain places, trying to make her hair pop out as much as possible on this particular mannequin that I've created. And then I'm just kind of putting in some lines for detail, or just to insinuate some direction. Okay. For the final picture, I kind of had fun with this one a little bit. I was trying to give her some pigtails like my other character, but it does kind of come out pretty cool. I was actually pretty proud of this one for this final one. So you can see that I start trying to shape the hair, the silhouette of the hair, like I have been doing, and then I kind of go in with some shapes. I start carving out what her hair is going to look like, okay? And as you guys are watching this final process, or my process for this, I do want to say thank you guys for for supporting me, watching this video. Hopefully you kind of learned something from my approach to doing things. Hopefully it works for you as much as it does for me. It is a lot of trial and error, and you'll see, like, I come up with one idea, but then I ultimately change it as I go, and that's okay to do. You should keep changing things until it works for you. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to stay in touch with up-to-date content.